Hey everyone, welcome back to the only show that isn't afraid to drop the truths that you need to hear, serve straight. First, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and share this podcast as we're trying to get good information out there that you can use right away. I'm your host, Ian, aka Anabolic Papi, and as always, my number one co-host, Skylar Matthews. Sky, how are we doing today, brother?
We're doing pretty good, man. I'm pretty excited about the array of topics that we have today.
Good, man. I've actually been drained because I'm remodeling one of my properties. Like the tenants just destroyed it, dude. Like full remodel.
Really?
So navigating bodybuilding, working, business, all that, and then on top of it, I got to get on my hands and knees as a 230-pound man is hard. So,
bro, I feel that, bro. You're almost catching me in weight.
No, dude, and I'm kind of level 235. I'm at 235 average when I wake up. So
okay,
there yet?
So I just started a fat loss phase. I hit 245, and I guess like at the start of this week, it kind of went down really fast. Like the first 2 days, 243. Next day, 241. Then it's been 241 until today, 240. So
yeah,
we're gonna meet here soon.
Yeah, I mean, I've kind of like leveled off. I got maybe we're in week 12 of 16 of this growth phase, and then I'll leave for vacation, and then I'll probably taper back off. So we'll see. I was pushing the scale, but then also like you don't want to because then you're just gaining unnecessarily. But I've leveled off at around 235, and my eating is more intuitive, but I am eating 6 times on non-training days and 7 days training days, and just. I'm kind of like eyeballing stuff at this point because I already know it's a loose diet.
Yeah. It's a loose diet. The consistency. You're just mindful.
Yeah, and it's funny because I talked to a couple buddies. Like I have friends who literally have the discipline to diet for themselves to like just look better for summer, let's say, right? But they don't have the discipline to diet hard for show. For me, it's the opposite, dude. If I have a goal and a show, like I give it my all, I'm good. But dude, if you're telling me like I'm gonna like diet for vacation or like I'm getting my body fat's getting a little high, let me diet down or look good for content, I'm like, I could not do it. I can't do it.
It's different. I mean, the thing, I haven't done a full show yet. So like, it's different. And then plus I'm on camera. So like, I know for a fact, like I want to be able to be confident on camera. So that kind of, plus like people seeing your story on social media that you're getting leaner is always like, it always makes business do better.
Yes.
That's the reality of it. But it is what it is, man. I think if you didn't have the show, I think you would have to find that balance. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Eventually.
Yeah.
But you can get next level shredded. So it kind of balances out.
Because you give it your all, dude. Yeah. Dieting for summer is not the same as like getting, shredded glutes and shit for a show. But I think what's going to happen, because again, I'm like 70% nationals early 2025. Versus end of this year. If I end up doing the main plan of nationals next year, for the sake of like you're saying, being on camera and doing content, I might just hire my normal prep coach for like a small fat loss phase just for the accountability piece. Yeah, because that's probably what I'm missing. Is that accountability piece? It's like I'm accountable myself, and at any point, I'd be like, you deserve it, bro.
Yeah, I get that. Do you think you'll have the same intensity just by having the coach, or no?
You know what? This is what I'll say, because again, we've been friends for a while now. We've actually, even in business, talk about it. Bro, I just like when I'm on my own, I can't push content out consistently. I just don't have the means for it. I need help and I need that accountability. So now that I'm paying somebody to help me with all that, it's consistent, right?
Yeah.
Same thing. I think that's just as me. There's things where I can push myself when it's like, okay, I need to do it and have a goal. But if I'm like, doing a million things at once, it helps me focus in on that because I don't have really a drive. Like I don't care to look better for myself. Okay, I got to look better for content. So that's not enough of a driver, but enough of a driver to be like, okay, I need to look the best I can to win the show. That's different. So I think long answer, but I think if I have a coach, even if it's just for like a fat loss phase or whatever, I really think that I would stick to it and I could go pretty aggressive.
I am actually really excited to get into that mindset because again, I haven't done dieting for a show at that level yet.
Yes.
And the last time I prepped, I prepped to the point where business was doing good, and then I was like, oh, I don't need the show. Business is good. So I just kind of stopped and just maintained at that point. So
yeah,
I don't know.
But have you ever done the coach you have? I know you have a coach to prep you for competing. Are you doing a fat loss phase prior to that, or is this phase?
We are doing the fat loss phase now.
Okay, and he's doing it with you. Okay.
Yeah. So he's doing it with me. Granted, I was supposed to start the fat loss phase like 2 months ago, but we kind of talked about like some vacations and stuff. So I was like, well, let me take the 2 months to continue like the bulk essentially.
Yeah.
And so we kind of went into the gaining phase seldomly, but we did it anyways. Yeah. And then now it's like, okay, I'm pushing a little bit of body fat. I'm getting a little uncomfortable. Let me dial it back and kind of get to the point where I can maintain. Yeah. Before we decide on the show, which is probably going to be next year. So
okay, well, dude, if I compete next year in nationals, I'll have to do another qualifier, and I'd love to compete in Texas. So we'll see.
Yeah, we'll correlate it. I mean, if anything, I'll go to you. I actually want to. I have a couple trips that I want to plan.
Yeah,
I just don't know where, but I do want to get out of this state because I don't do that enough.
Okay, well, I'll name some fun shows that are earlier in the year that we could do, but. Okay, so first question I have for you, and this is a good segue to the topic. Okay, I'm going to show you the images after, but the general question is: once you go Un-Natty, can you ever go back? All right, so I'm going to show you a very famous, a more known men's physique competitor. He's also just a very aesthetic dude, been around the space a while. His name is Andre Du. And I just want to show you his before and after picture so you can kind of we can answer this question. So
I'm going to have an answer, screen. And I think it's no.
Okay.
Straight up.
No, I'm a no too. So
no barrier. All right.
So here, as you can see, it says Andre Du is impressive physical change after 11 months natty. So what that is essentially saying, and we talk about like we understand what that means, but some people are like, oh wow, he's natty now. He's probably just off maybe all the gear, or he's just on TRT, right? But people are saying, okay, well, the whole point is this is saying he's natty. So go to the next page. This is him enhanced, okay, shredded, just huge. I think he's like about 6 feet. And then he definitely looks natty here, but obviously a greater physique than anyone naturally could attain.
What do you mean he definitely looks natty, bro? What do you mean by that?
Okay, that's actually a very, very fair question. It is not because he's not huge and shredded. It's just, I don't know, maybe because I have the eye for it, but just you can tell just with the skin texture and just the fullness in his muscles and how tight the skin is. Like there's just not as much glycogen. And just, I don't know. It's smooth. The skin is very smooth.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. What about you? What do you think?
I mean, I think he looks natty, but in comparison to the one that's not natty. Yeah. But I think that comes from just knowing a few people who are clearly enhanced, but don't. Well, I say clearly enhanced by other vectors. Like I have a friend, pretty close friend of mine that I met this year. Actually, he's a really, really cool, really down to earth guy. Nothing but respect for him. But motherfucker has back knee hard, and bro, I freaking love you if you watch this video, man. But that back knee is crazy, bro. And so like he's someone who's open and honest. If I meet him, or if I introduce him to a couple of my friends who lift, they'll usually ask like, or he'll just say it in passing to get it out of the way.
Like, he's like, well, my back's really fucked up, or what?
No, the natty card.
It's like before I take my pump cover off, I do have really bad acne. Just want you guys to know.
So the thing is we have trained together a couple of times, maybe like one workout every like other week, right? And he usually does what I'm doing. And usually on that specific workout, lately it's been a leg day, sometimes it's push day, but I have another training partner who is very similar stats to me, just bigger upper body, smaller lower body. So he is doing my leg day with me religiously. And I told you earlier, it's really hard. Yeah. So it's the one workout I take pre-workout for.
One, yeah.
So I introduced them and he was like, hey man, just really quick. I may seem strong. I'm also not natural. And I just want to get out the way, so like there's no question about it. And then that's it. So I freaking love him for that. He does that with anybody he trains with me. So anyways, long story short, his back knee just gives it completely away. He only wears cutoffs. He doesn't wear like tank tops. He just wears cutoffs to cover it.
Okay. No, his shoulders aren't bad. His chest, his face, or it's got a little. Okay, it's just all back.
It's all in his back. I mean, he has general acne, but I mean, he's a pretty good looking dude. I will say that he doesn't look not natty, if that makes sense. He looks in the most respectable way possible. Yeah. He looks just like a natural guy, just a little fluffy, and
that's what I was gonna say. What is his body fat roughly?
I don't even say a little. He looks full all the time. Like he just looks full. I don't want to say fluffy, but like,
does he look leaner than here? I'm gonna bring up Andre again.
Let's see.
Does he look leaner than him on the right here? I don't even know if I can zoom in.
On the enhanced side or the natty side?
On the natty side, this one.
Does he look leaner? Nah, honestly, he looks about the same. Maybe a little more body fat. Maybe like a layer of body fat. Okay, a couple percentages higher than that.
Got it. Yeah. So no, I hear you. I get what you're saying. I would say, if someone's under 15% body fat, maybe a little bit less than that, you can use. I feel like I could eye it. But yeah, I mean, sometimes it is hard, but and sometimes there's not telltale signs. But I don't know. Nowadays, like, I mean,
you never know.
You never know. And dude, people, we're getting a little off topic here, which is fine. But nowadays, people take steroids just to look like they work out, which is crazy. Yeah. Like there's so many people like just nowadays. I mean, I would even back this up 3-4 years. Like even when I was competing, I remember when I did Battle on the Bay, and the guy I'm talking about is someone we both know. I was just talking to him, and we were just talking whatever, and he's like telling me I thought he was natural this whole time, and we worked out together. And I didn't look very much different from him. In fact, I was a little bit more lean, and he was telling me what he was taking. He's like, yeah, I'm going to do a shot at Trend right now. Day of the show. Obviously, I had no idea what he was talking about. God. I'm serious. Day of the show. He's like, I'm going to pin Trend right now. I was like, Trend? I was like, wait, you take steroids and all that? And that was literally, it's so funny because I will never forget that, because that's the moment where it dawned on me. I was like, everybody's taking shit and you just don't know. Like, and you wouldn't even know that they're taking shit.
Yeah.
So I totally believe that. But I will ask you, so you said you respect your buddy for saying that, but like, I would say from my experience, if I was working out with a dude and like he decided to work out with me and he's like, okay, just before you work out, I want you to know, like, I'm not natty and whatever. I'm like, bro, what the fuck? Why are you even bringing that up? That's like, you being like, hey, just so you know, bro, I'm gay. I'm not saying taking steroids is gay. I'm just saying, like, if I was like, we were talking and hanging out and we're like, okay, let's get lunch. He's like, just I want you to, so you know,
I probably
I'm gay. Like,
I probably he doesn't really say it like that.
Okay.
Bluntly, but he does mention it. Or he talks about it in a way to make it known. So that way
you don't feel like, oh shit, this guy's a fucking freak.
So because he's pretty strong. He's like really strong, especially for his size. But also he knows that at least here in my city, I do have I'm a natural coach, right?
Yes.
And he likes to kind of protect that. So like he'll just like, I'm not natural type of thing, like in my protection or my defense type of thing. So super respectful dude, freaking love the guy. He's awesome.
No, that's good. No, total respect.
But I hear you.
Yeah. I wouldn't require him to say that. So, but okay. So before we even really answer the question, and this would be a whole nother topic, but we probably got to at least touch on what is actually considered natural and what is not. What would you say, just very general, if someone's like, okay, what is the minimum minimum someone could take that would make them not natural? Like supplement, SARM, peptide, like at what point does someone at the very minimum cross that line between natty and not natty anymore?
I think that any known banned substance entering in your body off of the WADA list immediately makes you not natural, whether that's SARMs, whether that's any hormones that come into play. And I will even say, even if you are taking prescribed testosterone, even if it is a replacement dose and your testosterone is low, you are not natural. Do you have to say like, yo, I'm not natty? Like, no, you do not have to say that. But I think it warrants you saying anytime you have to kind of explain what you're doing to somebody, assuming that you get those questions, you know.
Okay, and I'm just so you know what I'm doing. I'm trying to pull up the WADA list because I'm curious. I haven't actually looked at it. Here, the PDF. Okay, so but you would say even TRT, if he's never done more than literally a therapeutic dose, let's say 100 milligrams or 120, whatever is prescribed by actual doctor, not these fucking clinics that get 200 milligrams a week. So that would still be considered not natural, and I'm guessing that's because you don't naturally produce it.
Because you are artificially putting something in your body to enhance what you have.
Got it. Okay, so page 5, and I'm going to share this screen with you real quick. Page 5 says anabolic agents, and 7 is peptides, beta 2 antagonists. We don't really need hormone
peptides for sure. And I know they're kind of getting a rap right now for like improving your ability to recover and injuries and things like that.
Yeah,
but I still adhere to it being an enhancement.
Yeah. Okay. Well, here's the fucking list. And I'm guessing this is the medical
That's
name.
a huge list, bro.
Oh no, this is all of them. Okay. Okay, and then here's the other SARMs. So they talk about all SARMs pretty much.
Yep.
I mean, I would agree. Depot testosterone. Okay.
Now, I will say though that even though I have this stance, do I think like things like testosterone or taking, I don't know, creatine by default it makes you not complete, like, how would we say this? Someone said, I don't even want to say his name because he's gotten in trouble recently for some crazy stuff, but he made an argument once back in the day, someone super popular influencer with Greg Doucette specifically, saying that being natural or not is a spectrum. Like, because for example, we produce testosterone in our body, right? And then we will take testosterone and artificially inflate it by taking it, exogenously. And creatine is the same way, where we produce it naturally in our body, but our body doesn't produce enough of it by default. So what we would have to do is eat freaking like, I don't know, like 16 freaking steaks. Okay,
pounds,
but hella steaks. You're right, hella red meat essentially, in order to reach that threshold of full saturation. We'd have to do that virtually every day to get there. So by default, supplementing creatine is can be correlated, or not correlated, but compared to that, if you're trying to make a true argument. I'm sorry, but I don't see it that way. And that
so I'm going to play devil's advocate to that. Let's say you have one guy who's naturally just not doing anything. His testosterone is, let's say, 750 nanograms per deciliter. Okay. Then you have another guy who's 300. If this guy were to, and he's overweight, sleeps like shit. Let's say he does all the natural things that you would need to do to raise your testosterone, and now he's at 752. They're both considered natural, right? But what if this guy was at 300 and took TRT just to get to 750? See, that's where for me,
But you're saying if he has already taken the step to do everything he can to raise it up, but he can't.
Okay, I didn't really think about it like that. I was just like, he has the potential to do that. If he would be 750. Let's say even if he did everything in the world, he just boom, he's perfect diet, whatever. He's at 400, and the other guy's at 750. So you're saying if he took a therapeutic dose to get to 750 to equal the other guy, he's now not natural, right?
He took a therapeutic dose to get him up there. He is not natural by default. That's it. No, if
that's so hard. That's the gray area for me. Because
but see the thing, you see the predicament that now we're in, right? Is now we're comparing ourselves to somebody else and saying like, and that is the catalyst for making the decision to hop on the sauce, essentially, right? That is wrong. But
let's go back to the creatine situation, though.
Well, really quick. So I don't want to say that it's wrong. I don't want to say that it's wrong, but that decision is now being influenced by something we would rather it not be, right? It would be better, or because again, we both don't have problems with. I have a couple of clients who are not natural, who are enhanced, and I look at their blood work, bro. I don't mind it, but by default, if we're having this situation, if the person has done everything in their power to try and raise it naturally, but it's not, of course, that would come with time, effort, energy, all that stuff. And then was like, you know what? I need to bring them up into a adequate level And it is now well within the normal reference range. Reference range is 200 to 900, right? If he's at 300, he's like, let me get to, I don't know, whatever, improve it. He gets closer to 900. I would have more respect overall for the guy for putting in the effort to try to get it up. If you didn't get it up, all right, bro, like do your thing. Like, let's freaking go. Let's do what we can to get it up. There's no harm, no foul in that. It's the people who are like, dang,
they just look at the reading and they're like, okay, automatically.
My freaking this one influencer on YouTube has freaking 1,400, which is crazy, right? Granted. And then I am like at 600. You know what? I'm gonna hop on, and then they bring theirs up. I'm just like, bruh, sweet. You just did the bare minimum to get away with people saying, with you having the cop out of, oh well, it's prescribed. Come on, bro. You know what I mean? Come on. You just did the bare minimum. So you can get away with taking legal steroids. Essentially.
I think maybe that's a point we disagree on, but it's not a strong disagreement for me. I would say if somebody took TRT at a therapeutic dose, because let's say you're at 40, 50 years old and you're taking it now at this point for health reasons, whatever, like as long as you never go, right. And so that's where you say not natural. For me, if that person never crosses over. And that's hard too, because 140 for one guy is different than 120 for another, right? So I would say, for the sake of simplifying my argument, if somebody never goes over 150, 150 milligrams of test per week, never does that, and their levels read within a normal range. They don't go over some like you said, 900, some 15. They can read up to 1500, whatever. But they're in that normal reference range. I don't know. To me, they would still be natural because it's still attainable naturally. And the same thing with the creatine for me is like, okay, you have one guy who supplements with creatine, but what if a guy puts in the effort and the work to eat those 16 steaks a day? So what is really the difference there, right? So same thing. Okay, this guy could put in the work.
Toilet, bro. God bless his toilet, bro.
So you can have a guy that puts in the work, does everything perfect that he can raise his natural testosterone to 700, or you have a guy that's like, all right, I'm just going to take TRT to get to 700. For me, that's where I'm like, okay, you know what? Like, and again, maybe because I'm in the bodybuilding sphere, both of those guys are natty to me, because it's like, you're not doing anything excessive.
Okay. I hear you.
And I'm not saying I'm right. I'm just saying that's my perspective.
So I 100% see where you're coming from. I also see where I'm coming from, because it is my perspective. But I will say, when it comes to answering the question, though, like, because in hindsight, like, who really cares unless it's like you're really concerned for someone's health, right? The decision has been made or is going to be made. The best we can do is kind of put the information out there and make people aware for them, and they'll make their own decision. So I don't want to come off as like this is a question of who works harder or not, because
let's do it. Let's spit it
because that is outside. Well, that is outside of like it's when the question arises, like if I meet a random dude at the gym, which happened recently, and he was like, I guess admiring my sets because I pushed freaking hard on my sets, and he was like, yo, dude, like you're moving some weight. Like, how long have you been lifting? Right? General conversation eventually segues into, are you on the supplements? Like, what do you mean, bro? What kind of supplements? Are you talking about like creatine, protein? He's like, nah, man, like the supplements, bro. Like the supplements. And I was like, well, you'll be happy to know that I am natural. And I like, why are you? He's like, well, I'm pretty natural. I was like, pretty. And he's like, well, I'm just on, some TRT. I was like, nice. Like, how often do you inject? Like, what's your, if you don't mind? And he's like, well, I'm on a specific amount, and I inject like twice a week. I was like, okay, sweet. Like, you feel pretty good with that, or how long have you been on that? He's like, well, I've been on for quite a while, and it's just, I mean, and I'm pretty natty. I was like, hey, sounds good. So in that scenario, right, I could just be like, well, are you really natural or not? Like, it's a line.
And then you just fucked up your whole workout, because now you got to talk to this guy.
And then now you got to talk about it, right? So the answering this question is not really about seeing who works harder or not. It's really just trying to understand, like, what do most people think is natural or not? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's my point.
Yeah, and I like you're saying, someone coming up to you. So if that dude came up to me, he's like, "Yeah, I've been on tier T," I'd be like, "Okay, like you're just on tier T because you're, in bridging between cycles or whatever." He's like, "No, honestly, I just genetically have low tests, and now I'm substituting with their exogenous testosterone."
See, if it's someone I know though, if it's someone I know, I'd be like, "Well, how do you know you genetically have low tests?" But I mean, of course, if it's someone random, I kind of
right. I'm just saying for the sake of argument, that same dude came to me and he wasn't like bridging between cycles or just on a maintenance or whatever. I'd be like, okay, yeah, you're natty to me, I guess. But I think honestly, just to simplify it, I think putting it your way allows us to get the most simple answer. Anything that you cannot do with effort that you put out would be considered anything you add on top of that you can't achieve by doing things and effort. That might just be the blanket answer of, okay, that's not natty at that point if you have to get help.
For sure.
But okay. So anyway, that was I'm glad that we
bro, I love hashing this shit out. Like I'm down.
Yeah, and it's a conversation we'll continue to have because I just think there's so many nuances and there's no right or wrong answer. But okay. So I mean, you kind of answered at the beginning, but you believe that once you go natty, you can never ever be called natty. Like this is wrong. Was what I'm assuming. Like you can't go say you're enhanced and then you're natty.
No, the only way that you can make this comparison is if that picture on our right, readers, listeners left or watchers left. Yeah. Actually, I'm lying. His left, our right. The only way you can make that video with that caption and it be right and not wrong is by having a picture of him before he hopped on cycle.
Yeah.
Before. And that's what I hate about this, man. And I truly like despise this right here. Now I get it. Like taking hormones is not necessarily the most legal thing in most places. I think this is taken at a gym in the UK. At least the enhanced.
Is this the gym with those fucking ugly red plates with the stars, like the Captain America shield?
It is. It is the gym.
Yeah, I love how we both know that. Like,
it's freaking influencer central there. I'm gonna go there one day, and I will be officially an influencer. Let's fucking go. So, so yeah, man. The only way that this is true is
if you posted before. See, it's actually I didn't even read the caption before. It says, Andre Du's impressive change after quitting 11 months of using gear. So let's see. Let's actually, because you talked about reading the comments, I just want to read a couple. He's not natural. He's off cycle. Get it straight. Natural bodybuilders don't go off of anything. Yeah. Oh, here we go. No, it wasn't any health issues. I wanted a break from competing, give my body a break from all the stuff. Main thing was to get my hormones back and freeze. But that's what everybody fucking does when they get off. It's to normalize their hormones.
Yeah. He said that, right?
That was his comment right there where he talked about for health reasons and wanted a break off the stuff. So he's never natty.
Well, not that he clarified though, and he's being truthful, and that's commendable and respectable. So
and I think that's just like the biggest issue in my opinion.
But so this isn't his post, then it's somebody else's post.
No, it's who is the best bodybuilder. It just pretty much compares two people, but sometimes they'll do just some random like some news stories or whatever, Gotcha. So. But yeah, I think it's really important because again, you and I can have this educated conversation, but most people will be like, oh wow, he's natty. Okay. And he looks fucking amazing. And him natty off gear for 11 months, probably even for 5 years is going to look better than anybody could if they never took gear to begin with. And I think that's a misnomer. And one thing actually I learned over the past few months, because I've been kind of digging into this. I don't know if you know this. So, this concept of muscle memory. I don't know if you know this. It's not actual memory. It's the nuclei of the muscle cells. Okay. When you put on muscle and you increase the amount of cells, right, you create more nucleus and then you have the cell. When you, let's say, stop training for a long time or, you hop on gear. So you increase the amount of muscle, you have those cells increase and then you have more nuclei. When you hop off the gear, those nuclei stay. The muscle gets smaller and the cells get smaller, but you have those nuclei for years and years and years. And so when you hop on the juice again, or when you start working out again, it's not that, your muscles remember. It's actually that you still have that cell potential still there. I didn't know that. I had been doing some digging.
It's like getting fat as well.
Yes.
Only just through a different mechanism because getting fat, you accumulate size within the cells,
yes.
and then the fat cells will eventually split. So once they split, you never lose those fat cells; they just get smaller. Very similar, just different, same but different. You know?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think what you brought up, man, that is just a concept that I just wish so many people understood, especially, you know, for those who have kids, because people don't realize when you let your kid get fat, you know, you're increasing the amount of fat cells he has and or she has, and it just makes it harder for them to lose weight. Or even if you're an adult, you start getting fatter and fatter, you make it harder later. And I think exactly what you brought up, dude, that is like huge info that most people don't know.
Yeah.
That might be good content for you to do. I think you're really good with your demonstrations and shit like that. It might be hard to really make it simple for people, but it might make people feel a little bit comfortable. It's like, oh, that's why it's hard for me to lose the weight, or that's why I gain it back so fast or whatever, because like, you know, you just have so many fat cells. Unless you got lipo, you're fucked.
Yeah. Hey, editor, clip that, whatever.
Yeah. JC,
that.
You got it. So that's honestly all I wanted to bring up with that topic. I think it was pretty straightforward, and I'm glad we had the natty comparison or the chat before, because
one more thing that I've been wanting to say. So how would you say it in a place where you don't want to be that influence, right? So like if someone was like, hey, are you natural or not? A very common thing I hear is, well, not right now, I'm not. Or like right now I'm natural, or like right now I am. Or instead of saying, I get how easy it is to say that versus saying, well, right now I'm off cycle. You know what I mean?
Does that make sense? I think exactly what you're saying. If someone were right now I'm natural, I'll be like, dude, you're not fucking natural.
Yeah. So you're not natural, you're just off cycle, but you just don't want to say off cycle, which makes sense. And that's totally, I'm not here to say like that's a wrong thing to say. I used to think it was wrong to say though. I would just say that you're not natural, because whether you're on or not, because I really didn't understand the concept of like hopping on and off cycle. I felt like if you were off cycle, you're still on something. So I was like, just stop freaking lying. But in hindsight, it's not necessarily lying. They're already telling you that they're not natural. They're just saying it in like a nice way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So like I give people grace who do say that now versus like not. So,
and this is a topic. This I'm going to bring this up right now. I'll make a note when you respond. But I think it's a topic we should talk about. I just feel like nowadays, at least in my opinion, like I respect somebody who's natural, but it doesn't make me respect them more. Like I'm like, damn, you did that natural, like great fucking job, respect. I know what that takes, but it's not like, but that's it. That's where I leave it. Like, good job. I'm not like, oh, you got there natty and this dude's enhanced. Like if this guy's the best bodybuilder in the world and he takes all the fucking juice in the world, like I respect that person more than, you know, the most natty dude, but he looks fucking a freak of nature. Cause like, I feel like, yes, it's impressive that you're natty, but it still takes a lot of work to get to the other part too. How do you feel about it? I mean, like if obviously you're natural yourself. So like, I'm not,
what do you mean? Obviously. I'm kidding.
But and that's another thing, bro. You just can't say that. You be like, oh, bro, you're natural, bro. I could tell you're not. You're like, nah, I'm fucking juice, bro. That's a fucking diss.
What do you mean?
Yeah, but like, how do you feel like? I guess it's hard to find two comparable physiques. One guy's enhanced, one's natural, and they look the same. But like when someone tells you they're natural and you see them and they have a very impressive physique, are you like, damn, that guy has more respect than somebody else who's maybe has a more impressive physique but is not natural? Yeah. Okay.
I'm really indifferent. I kind of respect the grind anyways. I actually had a conversation of I'm
listening, by the way. I'm just writing this topic down for next time.
Yeah, I actually had a conversation by someone who applied for coaching. And in that, I usually ask for I don't usually ask for pictures right off the gate. I usually like want to talk to them a little bit and then I'll ask for pictures. But I do ask for is it okay to send pictures, right? And this person was morbidly obese and put down that they were really insecure about taking the pictures and felt like if they sent the pictures that it would like scare me away because I would think that they were too far gone, type of thing. Is literally what she said.
Which is crazy that people think that, and I've
my heart's out to that individual if you do see this. But when I saw that, I was like, dude, you don't know who I am.
Yeah.
And that was
anyone, it's fucking Skylar who's good.
I was like, you don't know who I am, and that's not saying like I'm like the best, but dude, I'm the most like empathetic person. I freaking cry at movies because I put myself in the shoes of the person who's in the movie. I hate that because I'm not really super emotional like in real life, which is area I need to work on.
Yeah.
But essentially, I'm like, dude, so take that scenario, and that's very similar to how I feel about people in the gym. I used to be someone who would like judge form, judge technique, or like this person can do better, or like look at someone and be like, this person's probably not in shape because of, and try to guess and play these games of like, but man, over time, like you just never know a person's situation. You never know how hard they're working. I have a friend who's like was 500 pounds. She's 300 pounds now. But if you look at her, she still looks out of shape, but you wouldn't know that she's lost. Like, so, like for me to like know these things and have gone through these things as a coach for 10 years, like, bro, like I don't really know anything except the product that is being presented here. If we have a conversation to provide the context, as elaborative as that sounds. So I'm completely indifferent to someone who's enhanced. Chris Bum said, if he walked up to me, I'd probably fangirl a little bit because I watch his content, but I wouldn't fangirl because of his accomplishments. Does that make sense?
Yeah. If I saw Chris Bum said, dude, I'd straight knock him out right away. I gotta assert my dominance, bro. I gotta be like, yo, no, I'm just like,
I'm the one. So yeah, man. And then same thing. If I saw someone natural in the peak of the natural side of things, WNBF, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
I mean, freaking epic job. Like, you did your shit.
Yeah,
like,
good job.
Go.
But you're
like,
still smaller than me.
I respect it, and that's it. It's just don't have more or less. It's just
I will give you here's a little selling tip. It's not a selling tip, but when I encounter exactly what you're saying, like I was like, oh, I'm insecure about my pictures, I always say these will be the worst pictures you ever take. And that kind of like that's what I try to tell them when I see that, you know, with clients that start with me or inquiring, is like, got it. Give them to me. This is going to be it. It only gets better from here. Send it. And I promise you it only gets better from here. But I feel you on that. It's tough. And for someone to feel like that, but you're right. They don't fucking know you. If they did, they'd know that if there's anyone that's not judgmental, it's you. So I'm also not judgmental. I might throw a joke in there, but yeah.
I hear
like,
you.
No, I'm just like,
but bro, next topic.
You got it.
This is gonna segue. Yeah, you got to bring it up to the forefront.
You tell me when you want me to bring it up.
So I want you to see this video, and in hindsight, there's a caption on it, and the caption is my problem. Right? Video's fine. Video without the caption's fine. Like kudos, but the caption.
Oh, dude, this is actually a perfect segue into what we just talked about.
I know.
We're just on it today. Okay,
right, go ahead. You can play it.
Okay, I think you gotta play it. You gotta play it.
Oh, gotcha.
Maybe click on the actual video.
Yeah.
Or I can also maybe.
There we go.
Okay. When you were.
This is it.
Yeah, and again, this proves my point. Even if they were all unnatural, you wouldn't believe it. Okay. So, all right, sweet.
Actually, keep it up on the side.
Okay. I can keep it like this, or
that's cool.
Okay.
So the caption's my problem, because we've just talked about this, and here's one thing that I hate with how prevalent PEDs is right now. How prevalent the topic of it is, how hype we get to see the enhanced athletes compete in PC. Naturals get a bad rap with what their physique can be, and people sleep on a natural's potential. Sure, seeing a great physique that is also natural is rare in any sense of the word, because to even take it to this step to be on stage is like 1% of the population, if that, not even 1% of the population. So like I've been to competitions where there's like 4 people who step on and 1 person wins by default, because not a lot of, you know what I mean? That my point is, it is big in it is big in our sense of like the industry, because it is something a lot of people can aspire to be, and it's very low barrier to entry. You just got to pay for the show and then show up, and then it is what it is.
And then you're nationally qualified, you know, because no one else showed up.
And so the point,
hence all of these, bro, is because no one showed up.
Yeah, the point is, I don't think I don't know the context of this video, and I don't think it's a video from anybody on stage. It is someone else taking the stage, and they are applying this caption. I hate this caption, because this, in theory, all of them should be natural. Like, that's just it. You know what I mean? It is a natural competition, I'm assuming.
So are you saying, sorry, are you saying like, oh, you shouldn't think you're special because you're natural? Is that what
well, a lot of people in the comments are praising his confidence, or the caption is confidence level. What is that? Confidence dash next level.
Yeah.
It's like, I hear you. All of them people have to be confident to step on that stage.
Okay. Regardless of how you look.
And I just hate the fact that it's talking down on some person, or it's talking up the person's confidence, but talking down
everybody else's, because it's saying you don't have the confidence level to do what I did because you had to come on here not natural. So you don't have the confidence.
Exactly. And it is downplaying everybody else's hard work, everybody else's physique. Or it's upplaying everybody else's physique, but saying that they didn't work as hard, which goes back to what we were talking about in terms of respecting the grind. Essentially, a lot of people respect natural physiques even if they don't look good, assuming that good physiques that are also natural are not natural because they look good.
Okay.
And that's frustrating.
I agree with you, and I actually have my mind went to two separate places. So
let me hear it.
My first one was, I actually know somebody who competed recently, natural, and that person was very adamant about how they wanted to stay natural just because it was I don't remember the words, but it was like, oh, it's always been something in me that I wanted to stay natural. And in my head, I was like, okay, I'm looking at your physique and I know you're natural. First off, if you didn't even tell me, you look natural. Like, this person's physique was not impressive in any way. And I'm just like, I don't give a fuck. Like, you're natural, that's good. But like, you're not on a moral high ground because you're natural. Don't exactly kind of with this. Don't give like a slight like jab. Like, oh, like I'm natural, I'm better than you. No, you stepped on stage and you look like poo-poo, honestly, even though you won because one or two people showed up. Actually, I don't even think this person won. They had done multiple divisions and nobody showed up to any of them except for one of them. And then that one, they ended up losing. Anyway, so to me, it's more of like, once you step on stage, if this person never stepped on stage and then they were like, I'm the only natural person in this gym, I'd be like, okay, that's more respectable than you going on a bodybuilding stage and now saying that, because that's a great equalizer. You're on stage now. It doesn't fucking matter. You actually got last place. You're the last person that should talk, natural or not. If you walking off getting 10th out of 10, but being natural makes you proud, like this person that I reference in real life, my life, then that's on you. But don't plaster it as like you're better. Like, you lost. You have the worst physique. I don't care. The joke side of this is, in bodybuilding, dude, if you ain't cheating, if you ain't trying. Like, bodybuilding is a sport of who can cheat the hardest. When you really think about it, like who can cheat the hardest, the longest, and stay consistent with it, usually ends up being better. But that's where I have zero respect for. It's not
in terms of untested. Yeah, in terms of untested, I'm assuming that this is WNBF and it's a natural tested.
This show looks like it's in India, because they usually have that very bronze tanning, like gold tanning. But okay.
But yeah, I just thought it was important to kind of bring up, honestly.
Wait. What's that comment said? Not natty. You're clearly what? You see the one with
clearly
on.
I think you're clearly on here. I could bring it.
Yeah, scroll down.
Yeah. Not natty, clearly on estrogen, talking about his potential gyno.
Okay, so here's the other place that my mind went.
Natty X undertrained checkmark, which makes sense. Confidence X overconfidence. Is that the same person? Nah, same.
No. Okay, this is where my mind went, and this is, I'm sure, going to open up another can of worms. Do you think if this person had a coach or not, is it disrespectful?
That bro trained until minor discomfort, and I don't mean to make fun of this, but
that shit kills me. But
and this is not building muscle is natty. That's what I'm saying. I'm glad. I'm glad. But the thing is I don't think he's the one who posted this, so I don't think he deserves to be roasted. It's you know.
All right. So, do you think that this person should have stepped on stage to begin with? I'm gonna give you my opinion. And I think you can relate this to a lot of other things, but I can also understand somebody who's going to disagree with me because I get where they're coming from. Who am I to judge? But this has come up quite a bit, and there's actually a few competitions that have happened very recently where somebody steps on stage blatantly out of shape, like just they don't look like a bodybuilder, but they step on stage. For me, okay, I'm gonna first bring up the other person's point who would disagree with me. You don't know what they went through. You don't know, like, this person, what the confidence that it takes. They should be allowed to, blah, blah, blah. For me, I don't agree with that. I think it's actually a disrespect to the competitors not to come in a certain, again, it's hard because it's a gray area, but at least a perceived amount of effort was put in to come in shape, number one. And number two, if you had a coach, I also shame the coach for encouraging this client to step on stage, or a client, not specifically this guy, I don't know the story, but to be able to do that. So I know that opens up a can of worms, because it's like, okay, well, what is the minimum effort? What is the minimum body or maximum body fat someone can have in order to step on stage? Who are you to judge? I just think that at the end of the day, I don't think any of this should be glorified, the confidence, whatever, because it's a competition at the end of the day. You came in and you lost. You look the worst. There's no pride in that. You can have your internal pride, but me as a competitor, if I were to step on stage against somebody who looked like that, I'm not going to judge him for his physique and him as a person. I'm going to judge this from a competitive aspect. Like, are you kidding me? Like, I fucking busted my ass, paid the same amount of money, going to get the same probably fucking trophy as you. It's just going to say first versus second, which is, like, again, maybe a selfish way of looking at it. At the end of the day, I guess blanket what I'm trying to say is I don't agree with just anybody being able to step on stage whenever they want, looking however they want to look. Mm-hmm. I think that there needs to be, it's hard to pinpoint an objective standard, but they're at least should be glorified. Because when people see that, or people see, and I can bring up plenty of examples, but someone super extremely out of shape stepping on stage and coming into like an NPC or a show or something like that, it's just like, are you kidding me? And then this person ends up winning because nobody else showed up, right? Like, and then they're nationally qualified, and then people are like, wow, good job. And then people have a skewed idea of bodybuilding. It's like, I don't know. That was my rant. I guess the question I have for you, do you think there should be a limit or a criteria, or that there should be at least a bare minimum standard of entry for someone to be able to compete physique-wise?
I think that Christian Guzman and his Summer Shred category of the transformation is cool. And I think more bodybuilding shows should do that. A transformation.
That's a good point. That's a very good point.
That takes into consideration you filming your story, telling it, sending your pictures, and then you being allowed to step on stage to present your story, essentially, is what's happening. Right. And then the only thing with that is it is subjective, right? It is a subjective. The whole sport is subjective, but it's even more subjective for pulling on the strings of the hearts of the person who is judging, or the people who are judging, right? So it is what it is. And I guess that comes into, I'm sure some people would overinflate or over exaggerate, what they went through versus some of the people don't. So that's a whole other kind of.
All four of my parents died in a car crash, and I was home.
Four.
So
yeah, dude. I think that transformation challenge / presentation is a good idea for the sport. And I think because it's crazy, like, to think that the sport doesn't make money, but I mean, it doesn't make as much as other professional sports, right? So I think
they need those people.
Yeah, they do need those people. And heck, I'm a victim kind of in your context of I'm a victim of a client who took that liberty to step on stage when he wasn't ready. It happened we went really aggressive, right, for a pretty, long period of time, for about 7 months. And he lost around 9 months, and he lost like 70 pounds in the 9 months. Freaking epic, right? Freaking epic.
So he was pretty overweight before he was.
Yeah, bro. Okay. He was pretty overweight. But he claims that he needed something, to commit to really push. And then he does love bodybuilding. I can't take that away from him. Or at least at the time, he loved bodybuilding, right? So, and he was getting inspired by these people. So as we were dieting, and of course he's working with me, we're losing weight really, really fast, and he's just like amped. And he asked me multiple times about thinking about a show and what would that look like, and this, and this. Kept telling him, it'll happen, but we gotta wait. We have to build a base. Right now we can't build a base because we're too busy losing fat aggressively like you wanted, right? He comes to me and calls me and is like, yo, Sky, I paid for a show and it's this date and I committed and I'm in it, and so we're on prep. And I was like, dang, well, here's what to expect. You're not gonna do well
and you're this is a legitimate conversation you had with him, or this is
I was like, you can't expect to like do the best. But like we can try and push for it since you already committed. For sure. Let's do it. So we continued to lean down. And as he got leaner, his abs didn't show. His chest wasn't super developed, but his arms, his shoulders, the genetic strong points of his physique did kind of come through because he got leaner. Practiced posing. All in all, it was kind of making him realize that he didn't have the physique that he wanted. And so to justify that, he's like, well, some, a couple of people backstage like came up to me and told me like that they could tell how much weight I've lost because of some of the loose skin. And I was like, hey, whatever it takes to like continuously push you since we're already here is great.
By the way, do you look like this? I just have to interrupt. I have to do this real quick. Do you look like this?
No, he didn't. No, he didn't. But like in hindsight, again, like although that is great, and I think if we took that exact scenario and stuck it into like the summer shred, I think he would have won the transformation challenge. He went through so much during that time. However, I don't think he was ready for competition. I would have rather him not. I would have rather him trust me enough to give me more time.
But see, here's the issue I have though. What if he stepped on stage, no one else showed up, or maybe one other person who looked worse than him, if that's even possible, and he ends up getting a first or second place, and now he has a skewed idea of what these competitions are. He's like, dude, what do you mean, Sky? I fucking won my competition. Like I showed up. Let's say no one showed up and he got his first place, and it's like, hey, Sky, I mean, no one showed up, but I got first place. Like if I was out of shape or not a bodybuilder, they shouldn't have given me an award. And now it's a skewed view of that, and that's where I have the issue.
I guess there's a natural filter that happens like once you reach higher levels.
That's true, and that's a good point. Is we have regional, but those regionals, there's so many of them, and they get you to the national qualifiers that it's like there's literally one step. You just got to show up, and if nobody else shows up, now you can compete for a national. And nationals is actually where I would have to argue like USA's and NPC nationals, the two bigger shows in North Americans actually. Is that exactly what you're saying? That natural barrier you see, like let's say, so I went last year to watch. Classic physique, one of the divisions that Anton was in. I think there were like 50 competitors, and I would say 50 competitors, 75% were decent and could maybe win a regional show, but not a very competitive one like a California or Texas one. And then 20%, so 75, 20% were like, okay, this guy looks pretty good, but really only 5%, and it was really the top 5. Everyone out of the top 5 was like, they're good, but they're not amazing. But just the top 5 was like, yeah, that's a national level competitor. But I think that's where the filter starts. It doesn't start at the regional level.
I hear that. I will say, I saw a documentary on CrossFit once, and it was when they first did their cuts and initially. And for those of you who don't know CrossFit, you compete against everyone. Everyone can compete. You pay for the ability to like do the essentially like the competition events, and then you film it, you get judged, you have judges at your box, and yada yada yada. So those get pushed to the next level. There's round 2, then those get pushed to the next level. There's round 3, and then those people will eventually get filtered into who shows up at the CrossFit Games. And who shows up at the CrossFit Games, once you're actually there, doesn't matter where you came from, flew, when you're at the CrossFit Games at this particular point in time, they did one event, and then they cut literally half of them. Then they did the next event, and then they cut literally half of them. So there was some it was raw. It was the first time they had ever done it. I don't remember exactly what year. But it was pretty ruthless, man. I mean, I guess I would even I mean, is CrossFit bigger than bodybuilding? I mean, I don't know.
I would think I would say that there's more people who work out CrossFit wise than that's a good question. I don't know.
That's interesting. Yeah, we'll look into that. But essentially, the ruthlessness of that, I mean, I don't see why it can't apply here. Where like even if you did put in the work and you did your diet and you showed up that day, showing up that day and having like prelims, maybe like the day before, turn it into a multiple day event, and then you get pre-eliminated. Might be the way to go at these specifically national shows, maybe.
And the word Yeah. The issue why I see with that is because they want their money, and why that would make it hard. I would say that probably what they should do is you need to have a minimum of X competitors, because there are national shows or national qualifiers where you can get your pro card at, where if you don't have, I don't remember off the top of my head, I think it's anywhere from you need at least 7 to 8.
WNBF does that. Yeah. WNBF, because I was looking at that to compete. You have to have at least a minimum 8 or 9, and then if you have 8 or 9 there, it also goes to a judge's decision if you are worthy of qualifying for your pro card. Because the WNBF,
so for the NPC IFBB, you have to have a minimum. You could still win your. Let's say you'll have 4 people who show up in your class and you win it. If you win the overall, you could still get your pro card. But I think, if that's kind of hard at a regional show, though, because okay, now you have to find out, you're dieting for the show, and 12 weeks. Let's say you're dieting for 12 weeks. You're 2 weeks out, and you check, and they're like, there's only 3 competitors. Well, it's like, well, now I got to pick a different show. So it kind of makes it hard to have that filter. But I don't know. Maybe they need to have less regional shows, or maybe they need to publish how many competitors they have, or
we need more shows. We need more shows.
They need to do something, because I just think that's a skewed view, and I don't know. But I think how you handle it with your client is, and that's kind of how I handle it with mine. I will always be like, all right, look, it is not my job to tell you when you can or cannot compete. My job is to get you in the best shape as possible with the time and the what we have available. If you're not going to be ready, that's not my decision, but I can tell you, hey, I would suggest we maybe take more time or whatever. So that's really where I think, I don't know if this guy had a coach specifically in this video, but I've seen other people with coaches have this happen. And I think it actually falls on you as a coach. Like, you're more than likely, this person hasn't competed before, or maybe it's their second competition. They're clearly out of shape, and you're letting them compete. I think at that point it's on you, because they don't know what competition shape is like. They don't know what it's supposed to be like. I think if you just let people compete just to compete, it really waters down the sport, but also makes you and that client look dumb. So I know it sounds pretty heartless, and a lot of people who aren't in the bodybuilding space will look at this like, oh, Ian, you're so fucking heartless. Like, you don't know what these people went through. They should be able to compete. But honestly, as a competitor, it's like, fuck that. Like, you're trying to be the best as possible. And sorry, this is, even though it's 2024, people are going to lose. People are not going to get complimented for everything. And some of these shows get fucking sixth place trophies now. I mean, usually it's 1 through 5 was already a lot.
I definitely supported him through it. But if I were to put myself, it was just very emotional. It was a very emotionally driven decision.
Yeah.
Due to multiple factors. Maybe, I don't know, maybe he felt really good based on how much results I was getting him, right? Yeah. That he was like, well, if Sky can do this, if we can do this, we can do this type of thing. And it's like that false sense. Maybe I, as a coach, could have reeled back how aggressive we were going. There's a lot of things that we can.
Let me ask you a question then. Okay, post show, let's say, do you still talk to this client, or did you still talk to them after the show, or did you guys part ways and not talk again?
No, we still spoke. We had tried to get even leaner because he realized he wasn't. But at that point, he didn't have the drive. He burned out.
So that was my question there. Did he step on stage and be like, "Oh, I actually am not ready for this"? This was
he stepped on stage. He knew he wasn't ready for it, but still was more fueled. And I mean, maybe he'll see this, maybe he won't. I really don't care if he does. So I'm just being completely truthful. He eventually, I think, because that time frame specifically set a standard of how fast results can be acquired, obtained. He eventually, hopped on the sauce, lied to me about.
Fuck yeah, baby.
Then he, not that he had to tell me at the time, but he definitely kept it from me, and I found out from other people. Which obviously
that's like cheating on your barber, bro. That one hurts.
It's never a good thing. If you feel like you have to go behind someone's back like that.
Yeah.
But I think it's my fault largely for not seeing the red flags sooner. Because obviously there was a lot of red flags.
It's your fault for not noticing he started gear, bro.
It's my fault. I'm sorry, man.
Damn, that got deep, bro. I didn't think we were gonna get into a whole
Well, I personally, I don't mind talking about it. I mean, I'm not mentioning any names or anything, but I think it's important. It's an important scenario. Like sometimes seeing results too fast is a bad thing. You know, they've done for the wrong reason. So
I've had similar though. I mean, nobody's hopped on without telling me. I've just coached plenty of people who tell me, whether it's a weekend, 2 weeks, even a few months in, hey, I'm actually on this shit. I'm like, bruh, like, why? In what world do you think I would fucking care? In fact, I look at you like more like, what the fuck are you doing than if you would have told me in the beginning. I don't know. Yeah. That's just crazy to me.
Yeah. JC, 2-second pause. I need to change my battery.
Okay. By the way, since you're changing batteries, we can just continue this conversation, and then this will be the last topic, anyway, because we're at an hour. If you're cool with that.
Yeah, I'm down.
Okay, I can still hear you, by the way. Yeah,
sounds good. So hour long is how these batteries are lasting.
Okay, that's pretty good.
Dang, why does it get so dark? $125. I think that was the right. Bro, my freaking, it looks like the Matrix, bro.
All right. So where do we want to pick it up off at? Okay, so we just talked about your client. I mean, I kind of wanted to. I wanted to talk about this just a little bit more.
Yeah, do it. Hold on, let me turn my fan.
Yeah, JC, I'll tell you in a second when start it again. Let me think of a question. I guess I kind of lost my train of thought on that one. Do you have anything else you want to bring up?
So let's see. Yes, I do. How am I going to word this? Let's see.
Yeah, think of how you're going to word it, and then we'll give JC the thumbs up to record, and then we'll go from there.
Let's see. So, all right. So one thing JC.
Wait, sorry, real quick. JC, roll it.
So one thing I do absolutely want to say is, as much as we're talking about, I know this contrasts your point. And as much as we're talking about like having confidence and stepping on stage, I think it's important to set the right expectation and set the right expectation early. That's one thing that I think I do really well now is no matter what the goal is, there needs to be an expectation of what it is going to take to either get to the goal and what's going to happen after. Like in that example, the expectation I don't think was stressed enough, and I just thought that it was understood. Right? It's not my fault.
Like the expectation was, hey, you're gonna not do very well. You didn't stress that enough.
I didn't stress that enough.
Okay.
And I think because I thought it was understood that these little things about, hey, well, this guy backstage told me that he could tell I lost a lot of weight. You know what I mean? Which is a good thing. And I mean, like, he's reinforcing it. I think me saying like, yeah, like you did, but how do you feel coming and stepping on this stage now? Right. Yeah. Knowing that you're here and you're not doing as well as you could be doing. Right. We can't really lean into your posing because like your posing, although it needs work. Right. This is your first show. Like we still can't really see the muscle that could be there. You know what I mean? And I think stressing those things, and then I think maybe doing a better job trying to pull. But granted, he didn't have the goal anymore to kind of push him to continue to get leaner.
Well, and honestly, rightfully so, though. He probably needed a break anyway. Like,
bro, he needed a break, and I mean, he took that break and he took it hard. And then when he like really wanted to kind of get back into the swing of things, like. I'm assuming that's when he hopped on gear so he can get back there faster. And then
logical thought process. I like
that. So
okay.
Yeah. It is what it is. I think people can step on stage. I think the purpose of your first couple of shows are not ever should be to win, although everybody wants that. I think your goal and your purpose is to acquire experience. You do not pick up a basketball your first time and do a basketball game expecting to win and be all-star, right? You do not expect that. It takes time to develop skill. It takes practice outside of that to develop that skill, and it takes an understanding of the game. And most people don't understand the game, whether it's enhanced, whether it's natural. And that's really it.
Yeah, and I think, again, all these things we're talking about are gray areas. It kind of brings up another one is, yes, I agree. I hope most people go in with a mindset, I want to win. I want a winner's mindset. But
I'm going to win my first show.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Well, you should have that. But also, like I always say, there's, you know what you don't know what you know. And then there's also, you don't know what you don't know. And you only find that out once you do it. So yes, on one end of the spectrum, this client of yours, this dude who stepped on stage in the video, multiple other people, they don't know really what it takes. And I tell this to my clients all the time, especially in the realm of posing. I'm like, dude, you guys don't know how important it is to pose in the off season, in season, for every single workout, every single day. Like, you don't understand how important posing is until, especially for my first time competitors, they compete and they're like, oh shit, that's why you said that. So yes, on one aspect, I agree. You got to do it in order to see what the expectation is. But on the flip side of it, part of me is like, well, you can just not even prepare, just step on stage and just to see, or you can go watch a show. I just think when it comes to the competitive aspect, I think, first off, nobody should really compete without a coach. In just my opinion, I've self-coached, and it's just not, you just can't do it. Even with all the knowledge in the world. I think that there's a burden on someone who's coaching you to exactly what you said, have that conversation of, look, I would probably suggest that you wait, or that we put on more muscle, or we, do whatever it takes to bring a presentable package. I just think that, again, the sport of bodybuilding is new. And we've talked about this with the past video, and there's money being made. The barrier of entry is so low. It is so easy to do it. But I think once, as a competitor who's competitive and does it, it is kind of disrespectful to the sport to see that, especially because of the perception of social media, because a lot of people don't know how to dig to see how competitive that show was. They just see first place overall tiara or fucking sword and their fucking medals, and like, yeah, first place, I fucking won. And they see this person that looks better than they do. So like, oh yeah, they're in shape. But as a competitor, like, dude, you I would smoke you. And again, that could be ego speaking or whatever. I just, at the end of the day, I think there needs to be a little bit more caution or second thought into most people who show up on stage like this, because it's just it's like, okay, you make people money and you make yourself happy, but what do you do for the sport as a whole and that perception? Because now everyone's like, oh, anybody can step on stage, and that's actually the reality of the space we're in. Is everybody pretty much competes for other people and just competes to compete,
which again it's bittersweet.
Yeah,
more people, but less. I would say more people, more opportunity to come to to compete. But see, for me, like, as much as if I had that scenario happen again, I mean, I think having the conversation is warranted. But if the person was stern and they were like, yo, Sky, I need this, like, and like, I would still lean in. But me personally, as much as I would support that decision, I would never put myself there. And I think because so I did CrossFit for a year and a half, literally straight, had a coach, programming, everything. And in doing that, I did that with the intention of competing in CrossFit. And I didn't see that through, because I knew for a fact that I wasn't competitive, right? And that was not me being like demotivated. It was just realistic. Dang, I need more work, and I'm just personally not willing to do that more work for another couple of years. I thought I was good enough, but again, reality, it wasn't even a reality check. It was like, I need to hit these markers to be good enough, yada yada. It's the same thing going into this bodybuilding venture, right? I am only going to do it if I feel absolutely ready that I'm going to do it. I'm not someone who would get a kick out of like, oh, I'm going to do this for fun and get some experience.
But that people do, though, and they don't have the self-awareness like you did with the CrossFit. Like, they're just like, oh, I work out, I do CrossFit.
Yeah. Is that wrong for them to do it? I don't know. But I do think like maybe some people need to dip their toe into the water before they go all in. My dipping of my toe is like putting a thermometer in the water and be like, okay, this is good. All right, sweet. What's the weather? All right, sweet. And then like maybe I'll jump in.
Which is, and I would actually say in your example, I think you even have more of a burden to be critical of yourself and the bar for you on your first show, in my opinion, would be a little bit higher, because like, even though you haven't competed before, you've coached competitors, you've seen the space, like, you know what shredded is more than somebody who's just working out. So I'm not saying like, oh, Sky, you better win your show. I'm not gonna have, no, I'm just saying like, I think somebody who's completely removed from the fitness space and was overweight is like, just hires a coach and like, oh, I want to do a show because everyone's doing a show. Like, that person doesn't know enough, and they need somebody who does know to guide them and give them the right direction, versus someone coaching you, even though you also haven't stepped on stage before. You have so much more of a background in this, that the expectation for you is like, okay, like, you can also handle a coach, but like, you're not ready, right? Or taper that. So because I actually had a client recently, first time competitor. I pushed him pretty hard. He pushed back a lot. You know, I'm very big on like, I will push you to the best of your ability, but if it gets to the point where you're literally just fucking hating life and you're complaining and blah blah blah, you know what I mean? Like, it's kind of a bridge, because like, my job as a coach would be like, well, shut the fuck up, this is what you hired me for. But also at the same time, like, you got to want it too. And like, it sucks as a coach of every day you're fucking complaining and whatever. But anyway, he was not where I wanted him to be. He picked a show and he's like, this is a show I'm going to do. And I kind of felt a obligation, like, okay, well, we should probably do 4 more weeks. Because even 4 more weeks, you probably need a little bit more than that.
So really quick,
but who am I to say that? Number one, I just want to say, who am I to say that? And I am, as coach, I should say that. But also, like, am I in the wrong for being like, okay, well, you pick the show, step on stage? Like, I don't know.
Yeah. So assuming that finances are not and scheduling are not the issue, if I was you, I probably would have maybe accepted that and then asked for like another show, like after like a couple of shows in a row. Assuming that those aren't the issue, you know what I mean? So
I mean, and again, this was the first show we did together, and you know, half the time you nail it your first time, and half the time you're really far off, and you need multiple shows. People need to understand. But I just felt like with this one, it's like another. If I were to tell this guy another 4 to 6 weeks of this shit, I think
he was out.
And it's just like, let's compete. He knows what he knows. Let's rewind, let's rebound, let's build in the offseason, and the next show we'll do it, rather than like, let's keep fighting for something we don't even know. You haven't even experienced it. You don't know why I'm telling you another 4 to 6 weeks. You think you're shredded because this is the best you've ever looked, but you don't know. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I get that. See, for me, I did struggle to find a happy medium between picking a show date and being able to push to that date or closer to that date. Versus now I have let my coach decide when he wants to pick the date. However, my commitment level, or my I guess my accuracy level, I would say, not commitment, I'm committed. It's the accuracy of how I'm doing certain things. I'm more lenient because the show date isn't picked yet. Does that make sense? So granted, we have a different strategy, but I don't know, I'm just talking overall. Like, I wonder how, like, committing to a show date is a lot easier to do than kind of like waiting until you think you might be ready.
I feel like then you're not really. I mean, you're not really to doing a show, but there's no urgency, because you can. Because at the back of your head, like, I can push it back. I can do a different show.
Which is what I've struggled with in the past too. So, you know, it is what it is. Happy medium. I'll pick show soon once I feel ready. You know?
All right, guys, that's the end of our show. Thank you for joining us as always. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to push this podcast out. As you can see, we try to get the best information out there for you, so you can.
With nuance, you know.